Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
Welcome, everybody. Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. on Monday, June 7th, 2021. Before this starts, Bill has to make an announcement about the Microsoft Teams volume and microphones. Bill, do you want to?
Yeah, I just want to say this. If you're at home and you can't hear anybody, tell me while the meeting is going on. 2 weeks from now, it isn't going to make any difference, okay? But tonight, I can fix it. Either the microphone that they're speaking into isn't working or something like that. So let me know right away if you cannot hear somebody. Thank you.
Hi, Bill and
Yes.
Joe. It's Wendy. Hi. It's not necessarily not hearing them, but you're so loud compared to them. And if you move papers at all, it really muffles what they're saying. That's my issue usually.
Okay, I don't have a mic on my desk. I'm just using the one in my computer. So are you hearing this right now?
I hear you, but I don't hear any papers
Okay.
right now. No.
Okay.
You're the clearest one of all. I mean, always.
Okay, thanks.
So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, so we need a motion to adopt the agenda, please. Right here. All right. Any further discussion about the agenda? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have the minutes of 17 to 8 tonight. Are there any additions or corrections to these? Go ahead.
So I believe, maybe I'm wrong, these are the minutes of the May 17th meeting, not the May 3rd meeting. At the top,
Oh, okay.
is that?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right, just.
Wait a second.
And then, on item number 7, when we discussed the logging project, in the middle of the page, near number 8, if you're looking at your minutes, I noticed that it says, at the end of the discussion, Suzanne Welch moved that we keep the no winter logging condition in the contract. And so I thought to myself, wow, did I really say the exact opposite of what I meant? So I went back and I listened to the recording, and of course, it's intended to mean no summer logging. But actually, when I listened to the motion that I made, it reads exactly, I move we use the original contract that we have for the timber sale, and that would entail winter logging. So just wanted to recommend that as a change.
You have that, Bill?
Just a second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Suzanne, do you have any other?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do we have any other additions or corrections to minutes? If not, if somebody make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So,
Right. Okay, got that, Bill?
Yeah.
Made the motion, John second.
Yeah.
All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Danny, are you here?
Yep,
You want to talk about the highway?
sure. We're just gonna start finishing up the Better Back Road grant that we carried over from last year for Woodchuck Hill, and we have a little bit on Cabell Road to finish, so that grant stuff would be done. And then we're probably start on the new grants that have been awarded to us this year, which were another 2. we got a Better Back Roads grant for Cambridgeport Road and one for Right Orchard.
You have anything? You have anything else?
Nope.
Does anybody have anything to gain? Any questions or anything you want to hear?
Any update for us on, the situation with Nicole and Hoganville Road and the,
Lafayette.
thank you.
I had called Nicole and let her know, I talked to her about what we discussed with the guardrails and stuff. I have called Lafayette twice and I still have not heard from their foreman that looks at the projects.
Okay, thank you. If you just try to keep us posted on that.
Yep.
Any other questions about highway or paving? If not, Dan, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, Kim, are you on? Yeah,
Yeah, she's on.
I don't hear it.
I know. Kim? Oh, wait a minute. No, she's not on.
Well, if Kim's not on, we have, unless somebody has anything you want to talk about, talk to the treasurer.
The only thing I would say on behalf of her is that I gave you the proposal from Sullivan Power, and we set it for, I asked him if it would be okay if we waited till the 14th to approve that. And she said that she thought that would be fine. I wanted to give you all the time to read the whole thing and make sure you understand what they're going to do and the cost. It's the same cost as it's always been, but so you understand exactly what they're going to go through with all of that. In addition to that, just so you know, Kim and I are meeting virtually or on the phone, one or the other, with Fred Duplessis tomorrow at 9 in order to discuss the trustee funds, all the trustee funds, but in particular the cemetery funds, and our ability to either use them or are they locked up and we can't use. That's our discussion with him.
Yeah, as a reminder to the board, about a year or so ago, I looked at all these trustee funds and there's, I don't know, $40,000 plus in the cemetery fund or whatever. And I questioned it and we sent it over to the attorney. He kind of tossed it back in our lap. And so Fred has some feelings about what the money can be used for. So that's why we're having this continued discussion. Once we get some actual understanding about these funds, then we'll have something to give. But right now, we're investigating. Because these funds have been sitting there forever, and nobody's going to do it. That's all happening. Committee reports. Highway. Does anybody have anything highway?
Carolyn Cody has been on vacation, and she just came back today. We have an appointment with her for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to address your letter that you wanted Ben to write, and also the farm situation with their influence can't be over the bridge. And then there was the other thing was the telephone poles being moved. I talked to the power company, and they said that was a major project. So I just wanted to be sure that they have enough in it that.
Okay. Park committee, you want me to take that, Sue? The sign is made, it was ordered, paid for. I believe it's in the hands of the committee. I'm not sure. How long you have to sign?
It's all put together.
Okay.
The rate at the moment is at Mike Field's house. Danny didn't work last week, so I couldn't meet with him to find a date to when we can install it, but hopefully get to meet with him and talk with him this week when we can do it.
Okay. Also, Sue Allen and myself met with the insurance company about the holes, the branches, a few other things, and, we're working all these things out. It's just a matter of when the sign comes to the park and the sign gets up, and, you know, so that's all, it's all under control and being done, so there should be no issue with that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When you met with the insurance person and you talked about, what they call a flagpole, but I'm wondering if really, is it actually a clay tile that's about 14 inches in diameter that comes up out of the ground? Is that what the insurance person is worried about?
Yeah, they want that filled up, and they want the branches cut to a certain height.
About branches on the hemlock tree?
Yes, that's the only issue that they have in the park.
Yeah, it's done.
Is all of that done?
Well, we haven't filled the hole, in it.
Okay,
We measured it, to make something to go in there. I think we ought to find out, what is that clay tile? It looks to me like it's a vent to, some type of a water system. If you look closely, that clay tile, the vertical one they're concerned with, there's more of it in the ground. And it goes up the hill, kind of in the direction as if it goes to that 6 by 10 concrete cistern that I sent a picture of that was full of water. Now doesn't have water in it anymore. Did it evaporate or did it come down through that pipe? I don't know, but it looks to me like that upright clay tile is meant to be either a clean out or a vent to that pipe system. I don't know what that pipe system really does.
well, the insurance company doesn't care what the pipe is, they just want it filled, covered, so that somebody can't step it, that's all they want to do. So, if you don't want to fill it in, then we'll put a piece of stone or something over it, so that a person can't fall in, that's the only thing the insurance company's concerned about.
Okay.
And if we don't get these things corrected, then you can't get the grant, that we have applied for.
The grant for,
Bill,
It's for the, passive gets grants for, OSHA type things, that, for the, in the highway, they have things that they need to keep the workers safe, PPE, as well as equipment that helps them do things that otherwise they sprain their backs or whatever. So we have a grant in for $8,000, I think, which is a 50% grant, so they will pay toward those things that Danny needs for to help out in the highway department, and things that are built to OSHA standards.
so it's not a grant for something in the village park.
No.
Nothing for the,
no, it's a grant for the town, and it's, right now, the grant is being held up until we can prove that we have solved the issues that they have. Told us that we need to
Yeah,
solve.
and-
Once we solve that, then we go in the pipeline and then we get the grant. So
It's-
finished.
the sooner we get the pictures of that and the guarantee that it's done,
Yeah.
and that gets it to be and gets up to them, the better, because if we wait too long, the grant's gonna be gone.
Exactly right. So,
Thank Alvin, because he did take care of one of those 4 issues for us. He did cut the tree for us. So we'll get a picture of that and get that out to our insurance agent.
Yeah.
And thank you, Al.
Yeah, and this,
a couple of other issues there with the swimming pool, the old swimming pool, the sign has been ordered, but haven't come in yet. And there's an issue with the village pump part, about the wall and the drop down to the river. And they were supposed to get back to us to see whether or not, there's another solution other than putting up a fence, so.
but I think we met his requirement way over 4 already.
The only thing we have to do yet is the trees we cut, we have to fill up the holes in the flagpole. We have to, pick a second sign for the pool, and then we're all in.
Okay.
Well, if we cut a 14-inch diameter piece of 3/4 inch plywood or something like that, that you step down in, because it's actually it's like an outfit, what do I want to say, a bell on the pipe. So it's wider and then there's a shelf. So you could set the piece in there and it's not going to drop down any farther. The bell is about 2 inches or so long. If we set that in there, nobody's going to step in it. And it's not going to, if you fill it up with dirt, I don't know where that dirt goes, that's my point is, there's another pipe that looks to be the same diameter that's down in the ground. So if we fill it up, are we plugging something? And that's why I think putting a plate or some kind of a sort of a cover on it, then you're not compromising whatever that pipe down below is.
The only thing I can tell you is if you put the cover, plywood or stone, you take a picture, if they reject it, then we'll have to do something different. So we have to do something to cover the hole. And if we don't, it needs to be done, sooner than later.
So when whoever talked to him,
No, we'll take a picture and send it to him and then.
right, but it wasn't discussed what was appropriate action to make him happy.
He wants it filled in, that's the exact plan. Personnel, we've had any,
We still continue to look at the policy and the meeting still on Wednesday with our questions. Then the following Wednesday, we'll meet with Jill with BLCC to go over questions and tidy up the policy.
building committee report? There's nothing? Okay.
I'm sorry, what building?
And we'll talk more on the 10th, November 10th.
Okay, but Matsiano's not here for the report for Matsiano for the wastewater, so we'll skip over that, because I guess we'll be here a little later.
Can I say something on the building committee that you need to pay attention to? And if anybody's available on the 10th, so what's Thursday at around noon, the elevator company is going to come. They're doing some work over in Bellows Falls, and they're going to look at the building and see and try to determine, in their opinion, what type of elevator we need. And we might not need a 13 passenger, but we might need an elevator that will carry a person pushing a person in a wheelchair, and that's all. So it depends on the square footage, and it's called a Lula, and it is based on a limited occupancy up here. So if we can do that, then I'll show them where we would like to put it, which would be redo the stairway, put it between the stairs. We don't have to mess with anything back here, mess with this room at all, and see if they want to do that. If you guys have a problem with that, let me know, or be at the meeting and let's discuss what it can be. But I can only have 2 of you, so whoever it's going to be, just at 9 o'clock on Thursday. So.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. No, I'm sorry. No, around noon. He's going to call me. So if you want to do it, let me know and then I will call you.
Yeah, I think it'd be great for Bill to be, if you can't, let us know that we'll get something else. All in a group. Who's going to speak for this?
I brought that up. I guess, Bill, you sent something out to everybody about it, and I looked at it, and it interests me, especially for certain areas in Grafton. Bill and I talked a little bit, one area being Grafton Pool. What they do, they come in and they plant wildflower seeds, birds and bee type thing, and then they set up beehives. I don't know a lot about it, but it kind of interests me. And the other area was, the trading property. There are places where trees aren't growing, but flowers might come up, wildflowers, and reproduce, and have some bees down there. We've got a farm down the road could probably use it to help, the bees pollinating, their vegetables. And, I don't know if there's any, outdoor trees like, of course, might be interested in. So it's just for discussion, and I don't know, Bill, if you have any ideas.
I wrote them an email and I gave them both because they're looking for town-owned properties only. So I wrote them back and I said, here's the 2 town-owned properties that, as far as I know, I can't speak from the select board, but I don't see any objection to put them on the town pool or up on Trahan. Trahan has a problem with, in the fact that it has a flood way, but if you don't mind that and you can move the bees if a flood's coming, then that's fine. But I want you to know that. And the other thing is, there's a ton of places, a ton of farms around where people would probably welcome bees, but you're asking for private places. I mean, public places. But if you're also looking for private places, and maybe they don't want to deal with private people. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I'm probably the only one that has an active orchard. I would welcome that if they want to come out there, it's sort of private. It's not one of the things.
Yeah.
You can talk to them about that.
Thanks for the clarification and, right, and the other would be the park.
Well, I was gonna say, you might wanna talk to Margot because she's purchased some plants, flowers. And I think her intent before it's done is to plant more. So those 2 things might complement each other.
But I think the reason they want to do it has nothing to do with the land it's sitting on. They want bees in the village. They want bees in every town in here, not to take care of one little plot, but to fly around the town. I mean, that's what bees do. So, yeah.
Well, I wish they welcome to come to my orchard, really, I would welcome them. Matt, are you ready to discuss this? We postponed it since you weren't here.
Yeah, sorry,
You need a moment to get yourself, or you're ready to do it.
Wherever you need.
Right up to you. Okay, now, Matt, last time you were here, no one could hear you. So come in here and speak to you to the mic. Okay. We got to stand right up to him. Where is it?
Can you hear me now?
I can, question.
If anybody at home can't hear you, they'll let you know.
Okay. Well, the Water Wastewater Committee, subcommittee has met, and we chose Time Bond as a firm for, furthering our research into the, wastewater problem, and our next, thing to do is, meet with Time Bond and discuss, both our project. And, in hopes that, by July 1st, we'll be able to, get our funding for the study. But that's basically the steps.
I think you need to clarify that if you go forward with this, the funding is, there's no charge to the town. It's a grant.
Correct.
And the only time that we have to pay it back is if the project goes forward. If the project doesn't go forward, for whatever reason, then that money does not have to be paid.
Right.
So there's no obligation to the town whatsoever.
But basically, most recently, we had to decide from 3 firms that sent in some notes for qualifications, Time Bond, Water Creek, and Stone Environmental. And we decided that time bond was best fit the needs of the town, moving forward to help figure out what we can do for our wastewater. Two sites that we're considering, one is the Howland Mill, the Howland Field, South Pine Meadow, and another Village Park, the third site for consideration.
Can I ask a question for South Pine?
It's part of the Wyndham Foundation, yeah. Yeah. We did talk with that, we have to cross the river. The Howland Field, according to, the research that we've done, the state probably won't allow that, but so we just, put out there the animal, to the proximity of the two would work, so that maybe we can lie out there. If that doesn't work, then we have to find other sites. Village Park works because it's a moment of town. The opportunity to improve the park. It can become a field or either ball field or a soccer field. Pavilions, we have picture tables. There's a lot of parks that have leach fields underneath them. A lot of ball fields have leach fields underneath them. All our backyards have leach fields. We use them every day. And one of the problems is concerns of what effluent may be going up to the park, and it's already being dumped in everybody's backyards here in the village, within the proximity of the wells. So, with some of the comments that have been made so far, the effluent that's possibly going to the park is going to be already in the village, being dumped in there as well. So, we're going to do something about it, whether it's at the park, up in Meadow, or somewhere else. Wastewater corrections in town need to be made. Any questions?
Isn't it true though, that, I mean, we're at the very, very, very beginnings,
Oh, yeah.
and it will, obviously, the engineers have to pick the best site, the state has to approve it. There'll be a multitude of town meetings and informational meetings, so it might not be any of those sites.
Correct. Yep. That's what we're hiring my bond.
Yeah.
Find out what's going to work best for us. And what's going to work for the state.
And most importantly, it has to be voted by the town.
Yeah.
And also that's,
Yeah.
That's, remains to be seen.
The one that it's on point of where we put it, let's use it to our advantage when we use it for other things. Not just a place that where everyone, but a place that we can use either as a field or park.
Do you envision a septic system or do you envision a sewage treatment plant?
No, it's not a sewage treatment plant. It's just a step system where we're just moving the water. Everyone will maintain their own tanks. There'll be a tank that will take care of the solids. The solids stay in the tank, so it's not that pumping. It's just rather than having the water going down into your backyard, it's going to be pumped up to a common leach field.
And does the village extend over the bridge going towards Saxon River?
Right now, we're just looking at within the village and not crossing any rivers.
No, I was gonna say,
But we have to stay within a 30,000 gallon limit or under. If you go over that, you want to much bigger systems.
and that's a point because I think the law that went into effect in 2000 says that when you put in a new system, you also have to set aside land for another system, even with the possibility of failure. Is the part that you're looking at?
Yes, there's enough room up here to do the overage, yeah.
I might also point out that we've got a vastly underrated, or rather underutilized field right now. I mean, if you want to play soccer or baseball, there's a perfectly good field to do. So I'm not buying the argument that the field is going to help at all.
Yeah.
And you've read, I'm sure, Sally Newman's letter.
Yes, yes.
Because there's an awful lot of stuff that goes into effluent these days that
Sure.
didn't used to.
And it's going into everyone's backyard right now,
Yeah.
into everyone's well.
No, it's not going into people's wells.
Well, if your well is within proximity of your neighbor's leach field, you've got a problem.
You have a potential problem. My understanding is that you did a survey to begin this whole thing, am I right? And you didn't find any problems in people, we found, I think, 3 out of all the people in the village. Is that right?
So we done two surveys. One was a drinking water quality test. And we had 55 respondents to that, and we found one bacteria contamination. Then we did the second test, the quality survey we did was for wastewater mass. And we did that for the high priority, high need areas inside the village. And while we did not find any acute problem, the fact is that our septic systems are continually aging. A good portion of them are over 25 years old. And because of the artifacts of changing septic rules, the overlapping nature of our leach fields in the village and in the high priority areas is getting worse. So while we're not standing on a burning platform, we do have risks. And the mitigation of the risk and studying best how to do that is what I think the Water Commission is the very next step of the engineering study is to do for us.
I don't want to have this discussion, but wait premature. There's going to be plenty of time to discuss this in public forums. The whole purpose here was to be informed that time bond was chosen and they're going to move on. This has to be saved for another time. There are experts here. We're not experts. We can't answer the questions. So I would really defer that when the time comes, we'll have ample time to discuss this at multiple public meetings. And you'll have engineers, not only our engineers, but state engineers, and they can answer any questions and whatever. And Suzanne is right, the rules are changing, and you'll hear all about that as well. Thank you.
Can
Yes,
I ask Matt a question?
Yeah, just make it easy, please.
Are you far enough along that you know how much acreage that you need for the primary field?
No. Other than the engineer I worked with stated there's ample room, probably 200 by 200 spot, I believe, in that, which isn't much.
No, 200 by 8 by 200 by 8 is 1 acre. 1 acre.
Yeah.
If you go to the ball field, for people that don't know what an acre is, and you go not the playing surface, but you go the tree line around it, 1.68 acres. If you go up to the village park and you go inside the Fire Pond Road and around inside the toe of the slope for the new fill that we put in for the access road and the parking area, there's just over 2 acres there. Just over 2. So you're talking of clearing an area of trees larger than the ballpark, so people put things in perspective too. And that's not counting the backup.
But we don't know that for a fact. It might not even be there. It might be at Allen Hills or whatever. So let's move on, because this is a useless conversation because you don't have engineering reports. We really don't know how much acreage. We have no idea. We get that report.
Yeah, the reason we chose time bound, they'll best present what we need and what we can use. That's an option, they'll show us how best to do.
And everybody in town will have more than an opportunity, believe me, multiple opportunities to question the engineers, the state, and anybody else who needs to be involved.
I have a question on the funding. we talked about the funding, what, to apply by July 1st, or we're going to get funding by July 1st, or are they going to start working first and then we apply for the funding?
Apply by July 1st.
We're going to apply for funding first?
Apply for funding by July 1.
Okay. And so will we get the funding and the approval of the funding prior to them starting the project?
Starting the study.
Study.
Project study.
Okay.
Just the study.
Pardon?
Just the study. It's just a preliminary study. It's not anything to do with going forward. That has to be, that's another whole issue.
So is the preliminary study being paid for through the grant?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no-
Because I did get a bill already, and that's why I'm wondering, fiscal year is going to end and we've got to pay this bill, but then we have no funding to cover it. So I didn't know what's going to keep on going. Are we going to keep on getting more bills and not having funding when we move into the next fiscal year? Or are we going to wait for the grant and then move forward?
Talking about the time bond,
Your preliminary
the
study,
preliminary study they did,
yeah, for $2,600.
is that Billy talking about?
I've gotten that invoice, and so we don't have funding for it, so we'll be in the negative whenever I pay it.
Is that the only bill that you've received?
Yes.
I-
You got to talk louder, Matt.
Is that the only bill you've received?
Yeah, it's the only one. It's $26.50.
That was agreed upon earlier.
Yeah, Kim, the select board approved that to be reimbursed when the grant comes through.
When the grant comes through. Okay, which would be the next fiscal year, but that's why I was wondering when we move on further for more studies, are we gonna wait before we get the funds first?
Well, the funding is, as I understand it, funding is approved, we just have to apply for it, right?
Correct. And that's why time bond do that application, when we, as we're agreeing with the time bond, they'll go up for the fund, my understanding. That's right.
I'm just curious as to the applying for funding that we don't know if we're gonna go through with the project. That's like putting the horse before the cart. Shouldn't we find out first if we have
We're going
approval
through-
forward with them?
That's- The funding is for the step.
For the
Kim,
septic?
it's just for the study, it has nothing to do with the project. The project is a multi-million-dollar project perhaps, but other than that, this is just that the state or the Fed or for septic study, a grant, and there's no obligation from the town.
Unless the project doesn't go forward, in which case we do have to pay.
No, if the project does not go forward, there's no payment. If the project does go forward, then it's added of the project, if it is so approved by the town. So there's no obligation to the town if the project goes nowhere.
You guarantee that.
Yes, absolutely.
Bring your checkbook.
No, this is done twice before. So this started 2001, 2000.
Yeah, so it's been a while. You can do it for a new study and time to move on because, prices aren't getting any lower to do these systems, so.
Bill?
Okay. Does the select board have to approve your selection of tie and bond?
I believe as a subcommittee of the commission, water commission, we have that authority. We're just presenting it to the select board now for, circumstances, accepting that time on arm.
You have a contract buyer. You better make a motion that allows for the hiring a tie and bond to do the feasibility, the preliminary feasibility study, conditioned on the fact that it's being fully paid for by the grant.
There you go.
Yeah, Suzanne, you want to make that?
Yes, so good.
We have a second?
Second.
Yes, Al?
I think you do yourself as well as the people of the community great favor if you would outline steps that you see or have agreed upon is from where we are today, there is either a decision to, or there's a decision to build a project. You gotta educate people, beat you up.
I think that's a very good point, Matt, and
As part of our educational program that we want, or with,
you know,
once next meeting, we're inviting the park joint meeting. What we're doing.
yeah, Alan has a point, that I think it needs to be laid out, what the preliminary steps, so that people know what to expect going forward. And that would be a good idea.
Right? Just an example, I'm assuming the steps will get to the point where the five of you, the time that you are on the board, or whoever's on the board at the time it comes, the 5 select board persons will have to decide, go forward and put it to the vote of the voters. Or if a project and you have concerns, then you're gonna maybe not to give it to the voters. So I think, although I've heard the conversation of until we have the information, it's a moot point. Or it could be a moot point if the information says there's no project. I also think the reverse is true. If the people on the board have enough history and they know enough of things that have gone on in town, and you say, when the time comes to vote, I'm voting no. If you don't have 3 people sitting there on the board right now that could tell yourself, if this project looks like it's doable in the village park, I'm going to vote for it, then you're wasting everybody.
Okay, but listen, that's, Matt, this is a committee issue. Now, talk about the committee. The select board can deal with setting up the procedures and whatever. The committee does so. So let the committee, you make your request to the committee, you're gonna have an opportunity. When is this gonna happen? Public meeting.
Or with the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's our next meeting here.
Right, and they're public, so anybody can go as well. So I would bring your comments to them at that time.
This is part of our beginning of our educational program. We'll try to straighten out the rumor mill with the park, number 1, and 2, explain, what we need to do. Basically, it's for the economy of the town. 10 years from now, who knows what the state would say, can or can't do it. And we start having problems with our wells, our septic systems. What do we do? Another plan.
Mr. Chair, I just like to comment, you're absolutely right about laying out the steps to the town, and I know that Matt and the Water Commission are putting that kind of educational program together. So stand by for that. The point I just clarify is in our last meeting, when I said in conjunction with the item that was proposed to be on the agenda, that it was a moot point. I just want to be really clear about what I meant when I said moot point. The timing was such that we had not received results of the soil test. And so my point was that to talk about the village park as a site until we received the results of the soil test. That's what I meant. And it was thereafter that we received. Not moot.
My interpretation of how your move was, if the soil test didn't pass, we didn't need to discuss it. That's how I thought you were.
Not the project. I also would like to take the opportunity to allay any concern about the $2,650. I just referring to the minutes of the April, the April 19th meeting, when I made a presentation And then, as Joe pointed out, we had a motion, that was passed by the select board for the $150 expenditure to approve the expenditure of $26.50 from town funds for this purpose of funding the feasibility study. And this was connected to their previous current one we're talking about. So that, I think that's procedurally.
Approached by the grant.
If possible, yes.
I don't know who seconded it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? All right, Bill, you got the motion, you all set?
I do.
Not the ticket system for municipal violations. Bill, do you want to address?
I want to make this really short. We now have a ticket system, which means that for violation of health code, that we can enforce, that the dog licenses, whatever, both Mike Waysville and Rich Thompson have a number, as officers of the town of Grafton to enforce by ticket those violations. They are being, Thursday morning at 9 with the first, he does this all the time, and he appears before the bureau all the time, and show them how to fill out, not to do, how to deliver them not to deliver them when you fill the people. If they go, then he will go to court with them the first 3 or 4 times until they feel comfortable. Just so you know, as you may, but many of us don't get that many tickets, so we forget about it. And that is, if you get a ticket for the violation and it's a $50 violation, you pay $20 to the judicial bureau, and that ends the thing. The second time, if it's $100, you pay $50 directly to them, and that's the end of the thing. If you want to fight it, then it's going to be the $100. If it's that was what the ticket is, it's going to be the face value of the ticket plus court costs, which are usually somewhere around $150, $200. So you're going to pay the whole thing if you fight it. So most people are not going to fight it. In addition to that, you can ask for the court to give you when you're doing the enforcement, you can ask the court to give you grant you for the court to order the person who is in violation to stop the violation. If that is trash, that is go pick up the trash. If that is a dog unlicensed, that is license the dog. And if they don't do it, they're in contempt of court. Then the court handles that. We don't handle the contempt. They're now dealing with the judge for not following his orders. So that's why it's good. Not that that you need to use it all the time, but it's a way for them to put teeth in stuff, because it is now. You talk to people, and good people will say, "Oh, I didn't think of that," and they'll fix it, but other people won't. And that money, you can follow it online. Kim and I can follow it online. That money, when it's paid to the court, is then divvied up partially to the town and partially to the courts. No, partially to the town, and a little bit, but there's a fee to the court. And so we get money off all of those. But hopefully after the training on Thursday, and probably as much training as they want, because First Sergeant Lakin wants to help a lot with this, and so they will get good training and be ready to do it. Both Mike and Rich are looking for something to help them do enforcement on those people who won't pay any attention to them. So that's the whole thing. So we're ready to go. We have a number for the town. We have, each of them have their own officer number.
Thank you, Bill, for following up on that. I put it on the agenda today. There's been waiting quite a while for the tickets to come out in Wisconsin. It's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it took, we got the tickets about 10 days ago, finally. And then I had to break arrangements for a meeting with Lakin.
Mr. Chair, I am very supportive of the enforcement and the ticket system. And I appreciate Kathy and Bill following up on this. What's not clear to me, and I'm sure it's something, Bill, you could provide, is what are the underlying authorizations for this from a policy or ordinance point of view and from the town? Could you just either provide us as a follow-up to this meeting, the actual ordinances or policies that are codified in our town?
It'll be almost, that would be almost,
Enforcement in these two areas?
that'd be almost impossible to do because it's infinite. Because they can enforce state law or any of our regulations. So,
Okay, so for example, in the dog policy, which I was unable to retrieve on the website, okay, is there a section in there for enforcement?
yes, but more importantly, these dogs are not vaccinated. That's a violation of state law.
I see. So there are some laws that are state laws that they will be enforcing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the other thing, if you look at the enforcement, you're not going to enforce it that drastically. You're going to probably give a couple warnings before you actually give your first ticket, and probably give a couple tickets before you actually take action to do it, because you want to give the people plenty of time to think about it and come around. So it isn't, and First Sergeant Lakin is very clear on, you've got to just tread softly, firmly, but softly. And he will actually go with them when they have to deliver tickets if there is somebody that is particularly hard to deal with.
So, and I was just checking today in the VLCT model dog policy, and they have a section in there in enforcement that outlines the fine for the first offense, the second offense, and you could actually point to a document that says how the town is authorized to do this. What can we use as a substitute for that, or did I misunderstand? Is it?
No, we have, yeah, we have a dog ordinance.
Because on the website, Bill, if the citizen wanted to look at at our dog policy, it doesn't pop up.
All you had to do is ask me, and I would, no, and tell me, and you just ask me for it, or tell me, why is it not on the website? And I'll put it on, and I will put it on the website.
Do that.
Okay, but you don't need to do it at a meeting. You can call me anytime and do that.
Bill, if I may do some things on my own timing, I would use this afternoon to do that, and I really, that's my privilege.
Okay. Okay.
Suggesting is that more important than for me is to just point out to you that the policy is not, at least on my computer, popping up on the website, and it would be very important when start enforcing to make that policy publicly available. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the update on the cleanup. Kathy?
I had an honor meeting these fellows on Saturday that did the cleanup on 121. There were probably 4 or 5 sites that people were dumping off of banks on 121. This is above where the Coltonville line is, on 121 with the car ends. There's a big dump site there. And you can ask for, it's a gentleman, very professional. I got there a little after 10. Their setup was at 10. I was there probably at 10:05. And they have been picking up trash earlier and recycling some of the trash, like cans and bottles. It was amazing. These guys were from Connecticut, there were 10 of them. All police officers, state troopers, and military. And again, I was honored to meet them. They did a heck of a job. They came down to the MKT with their Jeeps. You saw a bunch of Jeeps down here, very clean cut gentlemen and Jeeps. Had a bunch of MKT. I got to meet and work with Peter Nyheiser, who actually he owns Timber Ridge, Timberside. He grew up on Timberside, his family, he now lives in Stratton, but he does adventure travelers. He welcomes them, he puts them up, and the only agreement is that they come with an empty cooler and they have to buy here in Vermont. So the kind stays here. We did get a generous donation from a landowner, a commission from him. And the town is working on a commission on a big site. And I do have all the commissions from the volunteers. I'd like, Bill, if you could do a cover letter and send individually a thank you for the town. One of the things that Peter told me said that this is the first time that a town supported this group so well. And I was honored to hear that. It was a pleasure. And a lot of trash was taken away, and he was pretty grateful about it. And I have these for you, Bill, and I have this card. And the big dump site, he hopes all the guys we're gonna take a look at it on Saturday, see if it was, if they can accomplish it, it's what it has. And they're gonna do it, hopefully if we get the permission from the landowner, they'll do it in October.
So far, we haven't received any permission from Sheila.
Did the letter go out, Bill?
Yes, it went out last week,
I have.
along with a volunteer statement that names both him and his wife and the town that people would have to sign. So, I mean, it's just for him. So it isn't just our regular one that does us. So, I don't know what he's going to do. I haven't heard from him, but he should have gotten it today, if not on Saturday.
And a lot of these volunteers that showed up, first I want to thank Austin Powers and his friends from for doing the flag, and they did a great job. Nice to see young people taking charge and volunteering in the community. All I have. Thank you.
The next item is, set the date for the town hall cleanup.
Kim, did you hear?
Jim, you still there?
I am. I think Bill and I were looking at Monday, the 21st during the day. This Thursday, Bill and I have coverage from my office, so Bill and I are going to spend up the day going upstairs and sorting through what we feel we need to keep and what needs to go. So we're going to make piles. We thought maybe the 21st would be a good date for whoever can help us out during the day. We're trying to decide how we're going to do this. I think, Joe, you mentioned something about the dump truck rather than a dumpster. Need to figure out a chute.
I talked to Danny today, and he's aware that if the town approves the 21st, he will be here with a truck, or not him, somebody will be here with the town truck, and we can get the stuff and take it to the dumpster.
Okay.
Can somebody figure out a chute, metal chute from this
Any
window
kind,
right?
whatever they typically use, Bill. We don't know. What do contractors usually use?
Build a wooden chute with metal in it so it slides. That isn't a very steep thing, so you're going to need metal. But if somebody has some tin, I can try to build it. But we don't want to carry all those law books down the stairs in boxes.
I'll look and see what we have for roofing, because like I said, we may have some roofing left. I just hadn't had a chance tonight to find out if we got 10 feet or not.
Okay. That's one thing. And the other thing is, the 21st is when we want to do it during the day on the 21st, and all that week, anybody can come. What is it, the 15th through the 21st? Whatever that is that week, anybody can come. We'll have, and gather this stuff and sort through it and take anything you want, because on the 21st, it's going away. And if you want anything, 15th to the 21st, come and get it. Otherwise, it's out of here. And also, we need to move, and I'll see if emergency management people will move the blankets and the cots, and they go up above. We have emergency management has a corner of the garage at the far end of upstairs, put it in the corner there. And if they'll take that, and so that I don't want the highway people to have to move that. The highway people are really, really busy with their work and all the grants. They don't have time to do all this other stuff. So if they can come and leave a truck here, we'll put the chute down, fill the truck up, but I don't want them to take a whole heck of a lot of time because they're really busy.
There's also that Nation Museum showcase hanging on the wall in the back. It's pretty large. I don't know how they got it up here. That's theirs.
Yeah, that's theirs. We can ask them about it, but that isn't critical that it goes because it's way up on the wall and it's out of the way. I don't even know that I mean, we'd like to see it gone, right, Kim? But it isn't anything that's in the way, correct? I don't know. Kim's frozen, so I don't know if she can hear me. Yeah.
Kim, can you hear? Can you hear us, Kim?
That's okay. But anyway, she and I talked about it, talking to the museum to get that out of here.
Okay.
If they want it.
So do we want to have a motion on the 21st, or is everybody just okay?
I'm not sure you get the word out to people about this.
I'll send a thing out to Grafton residents. It could be forwarded to anybody, and Kim will probably put it on Kim and Wendy will probably put it on her site. And if anybody wants to come in and take anything, but we're going to have something, for instance, the radios over there don't go. Those are emergency radios. I mean, we'll probably take those up to the garage, but there's a hookup here just in case we need it here. But anything else that is not put in a special pile to save is gone.
Okay.
Okay.
Public comment?
Just want a reminder that our water wastewater meeting is going to be June 16th. 6:30 here in the town hall.
Gonna be up here?
Yeah,
What day?
June 16th,
What time, 6 o'clock?
6:30.
Bill, do you want, I think the listers are having hearings that, I'm not sure if they're just during the day that day or in the evening, but I know they start their grievance meetings on the 15th, I believe.
Yep.
So we'd have to check to see if they've already got scheduled appointments for that evening. I know they're using the evening for 1 or 2 of the days.
Well, Bill, why don't you check with them, and if for some reason or other the 21st doesn't work, then let us know, we'll have to get it done a date.
No, we're not worried about the 21st.
This is for the water meeting.
Oh.
For the if you're going to use the upstairs here for a water meeting, we need to check with the listers first.
And then you want to do that then? Or check with Hardy? See?
And they only have 1 or 2 in the meet.
Well, they can go downstairs.
Downstairs, and they have a open forum with Mark.
You need to, for your meeting, you need here. They have just 1 or 2, they can go downstairs.
Besides, there's air conditioning downstairs. They might want to be downstairs.
We still need to do a Zoom for tomorrow.
You have any other business?
No, one thing. Suzanne, did you hear back from the BLTC about the yellow or orange cones on the highway?
I did not, and I actually got in touch with Beatrice about that, John, and I will follow up with him.
What's that about?
You, there was a lot of that at the last meeting, a meeting before, about the homes up on top of Chester Hill, when he was mowing. Cargo,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the one that all goes, it's, you can do that.
Yeah, so I will follow up on it, thank you.
And I have something to add too. I know I had technical difficulties in the beginning of the meeting, so I think I missed my time slot. I was supposed to, I believe, give you an update on where we stood with the village park and the donations and all, and speaking with Fred. So I did have a conversation with Fred, and he said either way will work. And anybody that does donate to the town is tax deductible. And we would be able to keep it separate and put it into the revenue portion of it as a donation. And then we could do as we wanted to, like I had planned with Margot, is just take a copy. I'll take in the donation, make copy of any donation that comes in, and then she'll follow through with whatever the decision was on that committee to give their thank yous and all of that. So I did follow up with Fred, and we are good in that sense.
Kim? Kim? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. You remember we had the discussion that the committee needs one person who is able to buy whatever materials they need, you know, so that, you know what I'm saying? You would make that suggestion?
Authorize one person to deal with
Whether it's WW
Yeah.
or whatever, so that,
Right, someone from the committee should just name themselves as being signer, and then what I'll do is I'll call W&W and say you have authorization to sign anything from W&W. So it's just not half the committee going down there and putting something on our tab.
I guess I better confess, because, we've already spent, $838 of GIA donations. And, I was told to go and get it and get a copy of the bill. I was prepared to pay for it when I went to WW. I've been corresponding with Chris Wilkinson down there. When I went there, I introduced myself. I said, do you want me to pay for it on my credit card and me get reimbursed, or do you want to bill it to GIA? He filled out the bill, no tax, we got the discount at the town municipality, and I gave the bill to Pat Mack, copied it to Don, and as far as I know, that's been paid.
Yeah.
So we didn't follow protocol, but we got all the discounts that we could, and that was what the donator wanted me to do, so that's what I did.
Right, no, that's fine if that's what GIA wanted, and because they didn't submit any funds to me anyways as part of a donation and the revenue portion of it, that's fine to do it that way. But if somebody donates to us, I'm going to take care of the donation part, and then whenever one person requests materials and you want it to come out of the donations that were submitted to us, that's where we would have that one designated person.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's like a whole nother, you know, your whole business. That's fine.
Correct.
are you okay? You're done?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay, so the date of the next meeting is, June 14th here.
10 a.m.
That's right, 10 a.m. Virtual or in person, right?
Correct. There are only two things on the agenda. There is not likely to be anything added because it's a special meeting, and it's just open the bids for the paving and to deal with the auditors letter of intent and to see if you want to hire him for that. Those are the only two items on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, everybody. See you on the 14th.